We started the work conserving these tapestries in 2001, and obviously they've been hanging in this room since I think it's like the 1590s. So, you know, they've been hanging here for a very, very long time. So they were, you know, very dirty. They were in, there were a lot of weak areas. You know, there were a lot of the slits. They were big horizontal slits in them that were starting to come open. So they were very, you know, they needed a lot of work to them. So yes, it's taken us, we're now about to embark on the last tapestry. So this is the penultimate one that we've just finished, and we're just about to start on the final, the 13th one. These are the biggest tapestries that we ever have to deal with in our studio. They're 9 meters wide, this one, by 6 meters tall. We've actually thought about having a sign like they have on bridges, you know, max size. We don't want anything any bigger than this. But conveniently, the way that they've been woven, the bottom borders and the top borders were woven separate from the main field, so we can actually split them down. The tapestries are made, they have warps which are horizontal, and then they have the wefts which go in and out of the warps, and they're packed down so that you don't normally see the warps. So when you get a change of colour, you get a slit that's part of the weaving process, and that has to be stitched up. So we were able to cut those to take the lower border off separately, and then for these big scale tapestries, we have a fixed scaffold, so like a proper builder's scaffold that they have. So it takes a lot of planning, you know, that the house are involved with, and then we come up and take it down. And we do them on drain pipes, you know, like a sort of big drain pipe that you'd buy from Jewson's. Unfortunately, 6 meters is the longest drain pipe you can buy. So we're very lucky that the tapestries are 6 meters tall. So they fit the biggest drain pipes. So we put some hooked Velcro, we stick that onto the drain pipe. Then we pin some soft Velcro down one of the edges, and we roll them up off the wall. So we do a bit of initial stripping down here. They've got several linings on the back, and we take one of the linings off here, and then we roll the tapestry up and we have it transported to the studio in Norfolk. And then we do some more prep to get it ready to go and be wet cleaned. And they're wet cleaned in a place in Belgium, a place called De Witt in Mechelen. And they've worked with us cleaning all 13 of them. You know, we can go and supervise the washing, and they're happy to modify their wash process for us, because they tell us the National Trust have the dirtiest tapestries in Europe.
Is that true?
Yeah, no, well, that's what they tell us. So not anymore. They're nice and clean now. So once they've been wet cleaned, they come back to the studio, and then we do a stitched repair. We put a linen backing. We use an artist's canvas that we've washed to get rid of all the dressings. So it's like a second skin that goes on the back of the tapestries, and we can do all our repair work through that. Because one of the big things of conservation is that we want our work to be identifiable. So, you know, on the back you could see what's a repair. You know, it's all gone through this fabric. But we work through it quite systematically. When we have them on the frame, you roll through, and we divide the tapestry into 20 centimetre sections. And with these tapestries, because they're so big, we have to work from one end and then we work into the middle, because as you're rolling the tapestry towards you, it's getting bigger and bigger on the roller. And then because these are so big, we actually have to cut the linen off the frame and then go and start at that end and come back and meet in the middle.
And then at the back end of the job, you become essentially a part of what people are looking at, because they're now looking at you as well as the tapestry.
Yeah, part of the attractions.
I imagine you're used to it. I imagine you've done it a few times, but a bit of added pressure that the visitors can come and have a look as well?
Yeah, well, you know, they're kept at a safe distance. But no, it is, you know, it's really nice. And I think that's what makes you realise, you know, it's a real privilege to work on these things. You know, people are really interested. It's really fascinating, you know. And yes, you're working on something that's sort of 400 or 500 years old. Yeah, it is a real privilege, you know. And I think the visitors' enthusiasm reignites your enthusiasm for it. It's really good.
This is one of the Trust's longest projects, conservation projects. It's been going, started in 1998, thinking about it, planning it, and the first tapestry was taken down in 1999. And fast forward 22 years or so, and we've got the 12th tapestry behind us to be conserved. These tapestries are really important to Hardwick. Bess bought them in 1592, and we think she had an idea for hanging them in the long gallery. They fit really well in here with the fireplaces and the frieze above. So they were really important to Bess of Hardwick herself. As Rachel said, they've been in here all that time, most of them hanging, and they've seen a lot of life. So there's a lot of coal dust in there, there's a lot of stone dust in there, and actually that was threatening the stability of the tapestries. So we had to come up with a plan, otherwise we lose them. And they're just too important to the story to do that. So hence why this has been seen as a really important project for the Trust.
And so the project started, and we come 22 years along the way. The penultimate one, as we say, is hung behind you. How happy are you with what you can see?
I'm really excited. This tapestry itself, and when people come, they can see extraordinary detail. It's cleaned up really well. The conservation work has worked wonders. You can see the story that the tapestry is telling. And also, we're now stood in the long gallery, and every tapestry in here has been conserved. And we've just got the 13th tapestry. We've got a bit of a gap on the wall that's currently away, being prepared to go to Belgium to be wet cleaned. So it's so exciting. We can show that the Trust is continuing to care for the nation's heritage, its important objects, as well as for the outdoors and all the wonderful work we're doing within our parklands in terms of climate change as well. So we've got a real balance at Hardwick of work happening inside the hall and work happening out on the estate. We've got the Gideon project in the hall. We've got the building project that people will see as they're welcomed into the hall, where we're looking after the loggia and the columns, the famous columns that Hardwick has. And in the wider estate, our tree planting continues, which people can see as they drive up the drive. So there's a real buzz about the place, and we're really looking forward to getting back to some form of normality, which includes welcoming our visitors back.